That's when you thought you were out there.
Morning, guys. We will start with a broadcast section with no embargo, followed by an embargo section for 10:30 p.m. tonight. No live tweeting during the broadcast section, and use the microphone provided. Michael.
Morning, you all right?
Yeah, not bad, mate. A bit tired.
How's the team looking ahead of Sunday? Sunny?
Yeah, last night all good. No issues out of last night. Obviously, bit of fatigue with some of the boys because I haven't played for a while, but all good. Sonny, he's still not right. He's still not feeling 100%, so he won't train today. So unlikely for the weekend, and we'll see how he is beyond that.
James Maddison on Saturday, he looked a bit down because he obviously wants to be part of a winning team, but how proud of you last night. He showed real maturity and leadership. He spoke really well post-match as well. It sort of justifies you giving him the armband, doesn't it?
Well, he was part of a winning team on the weekend too, So, I think I made the point. It's not that Madders didn't play. I thought he actually played well in the first half. It was just a tactical change I thought that was needed for the team to win. But I understand the players, obviously, want to play all the time. I thought he was really good last night. I thought his leadership throughout the game was good in the way he played. He was really positive on the ball and kind of when we needed moments of, creativity or discipline, he was there. And, I thought, especially in the second half, obviously Mikey had that spell where he was really feeling good. And I think Matters made a point of just kept giving him the ball. And I thought that showed real leadership because in that moment, it's easy for sort of Matters to try and do things himself. But I think he sensed that Mikey was doing some special things and kept giving him the ball. So look, he's a vice captain. He's one of our leaders, and last night I thought he really stood up and played well. But I thought he played well on the weekend too. So yeah.
But you're delighted he called him Neymar as well, aren't you?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, great. Look, I think we all understand with young players you do have to be really careful. But as I said after the game, I don't get the sense that that's going to affect Mikey at all. And there's no denying he was great last night. I thought he was great the whole game, especially in that period. And exciting for us.
Another player Maddison had an influence on last night was Richarlison. He's never played badly for you, has he? It's just on and off injuries, isn't it, during your time here? What do you have to do to keep him fit, and what do you say to him? Because he's a confidence guy as well, but he's played well under you.
Yeah, no, he's always contributed when he's played. But like I said, we've worked really hard, and to be fair to he's worked really hard. This rehab time, not just from his injury, but just getting him into a better physical condition. And he looked good last night. He looked strong. He looked lean. He had plenty of energy, and he's going to be a really important player for us for sure. Like I said, we took a little bit of a different approach with him. Hopefully, with the objective of breaking that cycle where he comes back for a bit and breaks down. And credit to him, he's worked hard and he's feeling really good about things. Great for him to get a goal last night.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Charlie.
Hi, Ange. It's fair to say that Mikey Moore yesterday played really well, but he hasn't started in the Premier League so far. So do you imagine that he's kind of getting to the stage where he's now ready to start a Premier League match?
Look, he's ready to start any game. It's just, like I said, I just feel that, especially with young players, he's got to be, really careful about, their introduction into senior football. It's not like he's, even last year he didn't really have a full season of football. He had quite a few injuries, or a couple of injuries that left him out. He went from under 18s football to playing very little under 21s before we integrated him. So you have to look at that. I think he's still physically growing, and you have to take that into account. So I think he's ready to play, start a Premier League game for sure. But it's about, for me, it's about making sure that for us, what we want to do is continue to kind of develop Mikey in the right way, give him the platform to keep improving. And so far, whatever we've asked of him, he's made a real impact, and the plan is to continue to do that.
And in terms of this weekend, it's another away game. Obviously, your last one was away to Brighton. What do you want your players to take away from that performance against Brighton going into this one against Crystal Palace?
Yeah, well, look, I think kind of I addressed that. I think it wasn't something that has been a common occurrence for us. In that second half of Brighton, we dropped off in many respects. from the key fundamentals of our game. And as I said, hard to say why, but obviously there was some objective markers that we know we fell short of. And when you've got objective markers, it's not just me talking about it. Then players know the levels they need to hit, and we've bounced back since then. And good challenge for us at Palace. Obviously they're going through a tough spot, but still got some talent in that team. And you get a feeling with Palace is that once they do turn around, they could go on a run like they did last year under Oliver. So it'll be a good challenge for us.
You mentioned Palace. Obviously, they are struggling this season. They haven't won a Premier League game, sitting in a relegation zone. You mentioned their threats. I mean, where do you think their threats really will be on Sunday? And how dangerous is it coming up against a team who are desperate for that first win of the season?
Look, it's always dangerous in the Premier League. You just mentioned the Brighton game. There's never really any games where you go in there and you're thinking that it's going to be a comfortable afternoon or evening. And especially away from home, Premier League is always challenging. Like you said, they're going through a tough spell, but I've got no doubt they'll come out of it because they do have some quality in the front third, and that they're a hard-working team. And I think for us, what's important is that we're on a good run. We've been on a good run for a while, and we want to continue that. And the basis of that good run has been, just how hard we work and sort of sticking to our principles.
Ian.
Hi, Ange. How are you?
I'm good, mate.
So how special is Mikey Moore? How special can he be? I mean, wasn't so long ago everyone was saying England's next world-class youngster coming through was Jude Bellingham, which was right, and then Cole Palmer. How special?
Look, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you mean by special. I mean, he's a talented young player. He's a bit behind the guys you've mentioned because, like I said, he hasn't started a Premier League game yet. So we've just got to be careful about sort of. And I think Mikey just wants to be Mikey. As I said after the game, what I do see with him is he's very mature for a 17-year-old. He handles things really well, both positive and negative. He works hard every day, and he's making an impact at an age where it's very difficult to make an impact at this level. So. That's the beginning of a process for him and the beginning of his career. And like I said, from my perspective, it's about making sure that we're constantly working with him and giving him the opportunity and the platform to keep improving. And if he does, then Mikey will be Mikey, and they'll take him to wherever his ability does.
And in terms of, if you can, explain the process, because sometimes with young players, we all say, like we did with Phil Foden, you should go out on loan rather than sit at Man City and be on the bench and maybe get a few minutes in, a few minutes there. And there'll be some people saying that about Mikey Moore. Why doesn't he go out on loan, play every week? Why stay with you and play just bits and pieces? So what is the pros and cons of you keeping him for the whole season and maybe getting just those bits and pieces rather than week in, week out, say, starting for Leyton Orient or Watford or whatever?
I think the key is that you treat each case individually. I think if you start just having a sort of blanket policy, I think that's where you miss. I said the key for us this year was to try and expose Mikey to, first team environment. That was more important than him just getting game time, because he hasn't been at this level for any length of time. Other players who maybe had a year of first team environment and haven't had game time, they need to go out and play. But Mikey wasn't in that boat. I know you say bits and pieces, but we're only sort of 7-8 games into a Premier League season, and with Europe and Carabao Cup, he's already played. If we get between 15 and 20 games for Mikey between now and the end of the season, I don't think that's bits and pieces. I think that's meaningful for him, and then we assess it from there. But I really think it's important you just treat these things on an individual basis. Because ultimately what you want to do is what's the best for that player rather than sort of, have a blanket approach.
And finally, you've spoken positively about James Maddison and his leadership last night. Can I ask you about one decision he made, which, and whether you were comfortable with it or not, was when the penalty was given, it looked to me like he was going to take it, and then suddenly thought, no, I'm going to give it to Richarlison, who probably needed a goal for his confidence. I mean, most clubs have designated penalty takers, and managers want to stick with that, or were you really happy last night that he gave his mate the chance to get some confidence?
I was happy.
Care.
I was happy with the outcome, mate. I don't care how they get to it. If the ball's in the back of the net, I'm happy. we do have designated penalty takers, but in that moment, I think both are equally good at taking penalties. I think Matt is. We went through a thought process and thought, it'd be beneficial for us, for Richie to take it, but I was comfortable with, if they threw the ball to Fraser, I'd maybe a bit more worried about it. But although he'd probably say he could do it, but I think it wasn't such a wild sort of, decision in that moment. I think there was some clarity around it, and like I said, the important thing was we scored.
Charlie.
Ange, I just wanted to ask you about this team, where they are now compared to this time last year, when obviously results-wise there was that amazing start. I think this equivalent Friday was what made it 8 wins, 2 draws against Palace. How do you see the team now compared to that team that started so brilliantly last season?
Yeah, a lot different. I think we're certainly more consistent in our footballing. More consistent in kind of our performances. Look, the results last year were great, but we're playing a lot on enthusiasm and real energy we had. But I knew that wasn't sustainable, and pretty quickly we found that out for a number of reasons. Whereas I think this year we've already had some injury disruption, so to speak, and we've handled them a lot better. I think we've got a much sort of more well-rounded squad to handle what's ahead of us. We've had a heavier games program, but we've held that together. So I think we've progressed as a side. I think players have developed in the last 12 months to another level. When I think about Brennan and Decky and others, so we're in a better place, but we need to be, and hopefully in 12 months' time we're also in a better place, because that's the only way you kind of progress.
And just thinking since the start of the season, I know you talk a lot about growth of players in the team. I just wondered what you thought were the kind of main growth areas since the start of this season for the team.
Like I said, just the consistency of our performances. I think we're within games, we're controlling games a lot more. We're less vulnerable in certain areas that we were last year, particularly defensively, and just a lot more cohesion in our sort of build-up play, in the middle of the front third, and I think a lot more threatening in that front third. I kept saying last year I thought that was the area we needed to improve the most, and I think we're getting there now. I think, obviously Brennan, is becoming a real threat there. I think obviously Sonny always is. Getting Dom in has been fantastic for us, and with, like I said, with Decky in the midfield now and Matters, we just look a lot more threatening going forward. So all those kind of areas.
Just on Mikey, like for fans, obviously having a player coming through is like one of the most exciting things that can ever happen. What's it like as a manager when you sort of start to see a talent like that blossoming? Like, how exciting is that for you, without wanting to big him up too much? Yeah, no, it is. It is exciting. It's because it filters through the whole club, because I'm sure everyone in the academy takes enormous pride in it. Everyone who's had a sort of a hand in his journey, coaches, people around him, everyone takes pride in that. So the whole club feels good about seeing somebody who's come through, the program. As a manager, you're excited, that at 17 you've got a player who's already, like I said, showing a maturity in mindset, where he's given himself every chance to be the best player he can be, because I don't sense in him, like I said, that sometimes with young players they're exciting, but you think, I can already see there could be some pitfalls down the road, but I don't sense it with him. So, at 17 you wonder, if he keeps going like that, what's he going to be like at 2021? And hopefully I'm still a manager that benefits from that, mate. But you never know.
Hi, Ange. Jed Spence, how is he in regards to his fitness?
Getting closer. So we're hoping kind of next week join back in training.
Okay. Dane Scarlett's had a really good past 10 days or so. Scored for England and 21's, a couple of important goals for Oxford as well. How pleasing is that for you and the club? Because, it maybe hasn't gone the way you hoped in regards to regular starts for Oxford so far.
Yeah, look, it's important for Dane. For all our guys out on loan, part of the reason we put them out on loan is to get game time, not to sit on the bench, and but again, they have to earn that, and yeah, it's important for Dane. It's an important year for him. He needs to play. He needs to score goals at that level to sort of make sure he keeps progressing. So pleased that, like I said, the last 10 days with England and with Oxford, he's got himself a couple of goals, and he's just got to maintain that now. Like I said, whilst we put him out on loan with the best intentions, a lot of it is up to the players themselves to go there and make an impact. So pleased that he started to do that.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll end the broadcast section there. Move on to the embargoed section for 10:30 p.m. tonight.